How's it going, everybody? Jerome here, back, and now the Granblue Fantasy versus Beta has ended. I wanted to make this video in regards to how I felt through it all, pros and cons for the game, and hopefully things can get fixed in the future. But before everybody starts leaving, I do have to say this first. Overall, I like the game. I genuinely do. Team Red, they actually found a way to appeal to both the casual player base and the veteran player base. And the R1 button is genuinely a nice call. If you don't want to do the exact motion for Fireball or for DP, let alone for a super, just press that R1 button in a direction. But even though that to do normal specials, let's just say again for a Fireball or a DP, you have to do forward or back or down R1, that doesn't really go for when applying it towards the super. A Skybound art with R1, you must initiate a motion, which is a Fireball motion. And I said it before, I don't think it's genuinely a way to discourage players, but I think it's a way to encourage some people to learn the most simple input, a Fireball motion. And obviously we have the super Skybound art, the one that's super cinematic, more than the other one. You have to learn a half circle motion in order to have that thing come out when pressing R1. But I'm thinking it of this way. If you don't want to do that, and you mastered already a Fireball motion, then you could just do the Super Skybound art normally, since you, again, mastered the Fireball motion. I truly like the shortcut. But in terms of gameplay, it is a very heavy neutral style game. And since this is coming from Arc System Works, you would think that, oh, I could actually, maybe I could jump cancel after doing an anti-air, or when I could do an aerial combo, maybe I could jump twice in the air. That's really not the case. They completely took that aspect out, and I think that's fine. I truly do. But this is where my concerns for the game happens. In terms of combos, like I said, it's very basic. It's very bare bones. You do chain combo, or even an auto combo, I guess you could say, and then into a hard knockdown special. Either an EX special or just a normal special, like a normal DP, a normal Fireball, or a normal freaking dashing attack. But when you EX a move, usually it initiates a hard knockdown, and then you go for a 50-50 setup. In terms of mid-screen, not that many characters have options to do unique combos. It seems everybody is doing the exact same thing. And the reason being is because they don't have like any mid-screen combo extenders. Only like 2 characters have that. And that's Charlotta and Lancelot. But if you're playing as Gran or even Catalina, all you do is chain combo into Fireball EX or into Dash EX, and then that initiates a hard knockdown. But then Lancelot and Charlotta, they actually have some mid-screen options. Especially Charlotta, because Charlotta has a literal demon flip. I could go into an overhead attack. I could go into a dive. Or I could go into a grab. And if I EX the demon flip and I don't do anything, because that's another option, it goes for a sweep. And if it's on counter hit, I can actually combo an enemy that's in the air. You can do juggles. Lancelot is kind of the same perspective. He really doesn't have much, although he's always in your freaking face. But in terms of mid-screen combo extender, his only one is honestly the one where he teleports and he EX the dive, and it initiates a ground bounce. Fairy is very bare bones, but she does have options. She's a set play kind of character, kind of, because if you hit her, the damn spirit runs away. But she has a super that actually gives her the trait of reverse beats. And I think that's really cool. No other character has that besides her. So you could do some crazy ass combos with Fairy just because she's in reverse beats. And in my opinion, she's one of the more fun characters because of that trait alone. What I'm getting at is I'm just really hoping that some characters have more options in the mid-screen segment. The corner is where you want to hold the opponent in, because you actually can do combos in the corner. I mentioned this during the video that I was in with Eternal, that it seemed that every character has an EX moves that initiate a wall bounce, and it was true. Every character in this game wall bounces, and when that happens, you could do the auto combo into another move or into your special. That's where things get fancy. In terms of the online scenery overall, though, it genuinely seems that some areas, some servers, can't handle a lot of players. Like for the past 2 sessions, I mostly went into the New York area, and I would get matches that were hella bad. Like when they even did an EX Fireball, let's say Lancelot for example, it would lag up extremely hard. And there were some cases where I would fight like a 3-frame match, a 3-frame delay match, but then it increases dramatically later on. It was really bad, but then I went into the Mexico server and I fought some people there, and everything was fine. I had 3-frame delay matches left and right, and it was fun. Same thing goes for this session, the last session. I went into the Eastern Canada server, and lo and behold, I had matches that were 3 to 2 frames of delay. I fought people that I fought in New York in the Canada server, and things were smooth. It was extremely smooth. Online for the most part seems to work when when a server isn't freaking getting bombarded with players, because that's what happened with the New York server. It was really bad. But hopefully they can adjust that. This game is gonna have a lot of players, like a lot. This was just the beta, and nearly every room, every lobby for New York was full. So for most, they couldn't join, and they had to freaking go to either Canada or Mexico. It was crazy how many players were in this closed beta. I can't even comprehend how the game is going to play, or how the game is going to handle when this thing is officially released. Like, maybe the servers will just die, who knows, but hopefully things get better with the online. And now let's talk about the cooldown system of the game for your specials. At the end of the day, at the end of the beta, I guess you could say, it doesn't seem that bad. For veteran players, if we input the motion normally to initiate a fireball, to initiate a DP, to initiate a Tatsu, I guess you could say, the skills come back. And then if somebody doesn't know how to do inputs and they do R1, yes, the skills take a little longer to come back, but it's not dramatic. You're not waiting like 50 seconds or something if you initiate doing a special with the R1 button. It doesn't take forever. I think it's kind of like a fair play. Especially if you do a DP. If you do a DP with R1, then that DP genuinely comes back right when the opponent pops up from the ground. But there is one thing that kind of intrigues me, and it's the Scalebound arts. So when you do a Scalebound art, normally, your specials go into a cooldown state, but they're not different in time. They all have the same recovery speed, but I genuinely don't know if that same speed goes for when you initiate a Scalebound art with R1. I guess at the end of the day, they shouldn't be different because you're still doing a Scalebound art, and if I do mine with R1 and my skills recover slower than my opponents, then I guess that's kind of garbage, really. But again, I didn't test it out. That's the one thing I didn't test out, sadly. Have Circle R1 and Fireball Forward R1 to initiate Scalebound arts. So I'm hoping there isn't that much of a difference in terms of the cooldown. Same thing goes for Super Scalebound arts. When you do a Super Scalebound art, your specials go into an extremely long cooldown state. And I understand it. I get what they're doing. Supers are basically the balls out thing. Like, you can combo into it, or you could just do it raw, and so on and so forth. And whoever activates it, they don't want that said player to have an advantage. Like, I'm gonna do my Scalebound art, but all of a sudden, oh, guess what? I'm gonna do EX Fireball, and you're gonna get hit because you thought I was unsafe. That's why the cooldowns after the Scalebound arts exist. But just to clarify, my concern isn't about that. My concern is there a big difference between doing a normal Scalebound art and doing the R1 version of a Scalebound art? And the cooldowns for EX moves are totally fine. That is actually something I thought about during that video with Eternal. When When we were watching the Daigo and Fudo gameplay, I questioned that what is being eaten? Like, what is being used for the move to do an EX version of it? And it's nothing. All you gotta do for an EX move is with circle. Is a fireball back circle, DP motion with circle, fireball forward with circle. And that is the EX move. And I guess for this kind of game, that is fine. Another thing I actually wanted to say that I think the game kind of needs so far is alpha counters. Now, if you guys don't know what alpha counters are, alpha counters in a fighting game is a mechanic where you can actually push your opponent off you at the price of your meter. The only reason why I bring this up is because, as I said earlier in the videos, the plan for the game overall is for someone to put someone else into the corner and pressure them to hell and back. Yes, you could get out of it, but there are some characters that make you feel that you can't do anything but just accept it, and everything that you're gonna do or think that you should do is extremely risky. And the one being is Lancelot. Lancelot is gonna put you in the corner, and he's just pressing buttons left and right, doing his Rekkas. Obviously not going to the third full Rekka, but stopping at the second. He has an evasion move where he could just go into the sky, press X, and then he'll dash all the way down to the ground, and he has the opportunity to just keep slashing at your ankles, and it's just overwhelming for some players. So alpha counters in that situation is you get to actually push him off you so you can have some breathing room and go back into the mid-screen area. And obviously the next one is Fairy. Fairy? Why Fairy? Well, for you guys who don't know, Fairy has an install super that gives her the ability to have reverse beats. She could cancel buttons into buttons, and especially from aerial attacks as well. She could jump up, press circle, do her special attack or her unique attack, which is the dive kick, and then when that hits as well, she could do jumping A and do the dive kick again, and then keep applying pressure against you. And all you have to do is just accept it. And one of the worst things so far is that you can die from chip damage, from supers obviously, to even EXing moves. So if somebody has the right setup in the corner, let's just say for Charlotta. Charlotta is chipping you out with her her little like slash multi-hitting attack, not EXing whatsoever, so she could continue pressuring your ass in that corner with that move. She gets you down to a certain amount of health, and then she just goes into her Skybound art, the one where she does a spin, and then that would be a chip kill for her. And the only reason why that exists is because, again, you have no other way to get them off of you other than, oh, I hope I could jump out of this predicament and this person won't anti-air me from the beginning. So I really think alpha counters is somewhat needed in this game. And I think, as I said before, alpha counters actually requires a resource to be used. And the perfect one is the SB gauge. The SB gauge is the gauge where it allows you to have access to your super. And the way you build that gauge up is to just do things from walking forward, jumping forward, hitting the opponent, even though they're blocking and your moves are hitting them, that actually increases the SB gauge for you. And it's not even used that much aside from 2 supers, so it is the perfect thing to have another option to be used for, and that's alpha counters. As I said, since you gain meter from just doing literally anything, why not, if you're at 100% meter, you have 3 options. Obviously, you got the Super Skybound art, the one that's extremely cinematic. You got the normal Skybound art, and you have a single alpha counter at your disposal. I recommend that it should actually use all your meter. Again, even though people will say, well, that would suck because I want to use my super. Believe me, alpha counters are genuinely a good thing to get the opponent off you, to have that breathing room. And as I keep saying, you build meter just by doing a lot of stuff. If you push that opponent off you and you just go back to that mid-screen segment where you have to respect the neutral. So that is really one of the biggest things I want in this game. I genuinely think that having alpha counters in the game would help literally everybody in the predicament. At the end of the day, though, I actually enjoyed Granblue Fantasy. I enjoyed the game, but I'm just speaking real facts here. It's not an exciting game. It's a very, simple combo structure game that has a very heavy focus on a neutral aspect, but that doesn't mean it's bad by any means necessary. It's just not that exciting. Combo limiters in the game, I don't know if I talked about it, but they are in it, and I don't know what causes it, but I want them out. I really, really do. Like, but if you guys don't believe me, it's basically, I'm going to do the chain combo into EX kick with dive kick, chain combo into EX fireball, and that's literally all I can do with Gran in the corner. There are combo limiters. I have footage. I'm pretty sure I'll put it up there. So there's that. And I want characters to get sped up a little bit. I really do. The game feels very, very slow, and I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for. Not this high-paced anime action game. But it still feels slow, and I think an increase in character speed would actually be really nice. And honestly, at this point, I'm just looking forward to the characters that are going to make it into this game. And that's where my hype is just character reveals, characters that are gonna make it. I am genuinely excited for who's gonna come through, but as I said before, I want more options in the mid-screen. I want to have more options to do more unique combos, and that's really it. By the name alone, Granblue Fantasy, that's already having a lot of weight on it. But to clarify things, I have no bad feelings for the game. I'm just hoping that they could adjust some things and give characters more options in the mid-screen, but there's no ill intent towards it. I genuinely like it. And I just want to play Ladiva at this point. Tell me what you guys think down below. What you guys think about the closed beta. I'm very intrigued to see what your thought processes are. My name is Jerome, and I will see you guys within the next video.